So welcome back everybody to the first video that I've uploaded on this channel for almost 5 months now. You haven't really missed much. We've literally just been hibernating for the winter and just kind of living, I don't know, just a normal life really.
I think they've missed something very big that's sitting on my lap.
Yeah, so we do have a new addition to the family. I don't really want to move her because she looks so comfy.
No, you're not moving her.
But we did get...
They can see her.
Can you see her?
See her
I don't know.
head.
Oh yeah, just about. Just down here. We decided to get a second dog. When was that? 22nd of December, I think that was, just before Christmas.
Yeah.
It kind of happened really quickly. We've wanted a second dog for quite a while. Like, talked about it for years, haven't we? Because Digby's nearly 4 now.
I feel like you need to sit back.
Do you?
Yeah, you're like...
Well, I'll sit back in a minute.
Relax.
Just relax.
Just relax.
But we decided to get a second dog anyway. All happened really quickly. We were actually going to get... Well, we weren't necessarily going to get a different dog, but we'd made plans to go and see a different dog, didn't we? And then that kind of fell through. And then we saw...
We were looking at a bunch of different dogs.
Yeah,
I think is probably the way
we're,
to put it.
We're on the market for
to
another dog.
rehome a dog because we knew that we would struggle to rescue a dog because of living in a tiny house. So we were worried about... Well, we weren't worried about it. We knew that a rescue place wouldn't let us rescue a dog because of the tiny house. So we knew that that was off the table. So, but we didn't want to buy a puppy. We wanted to make sure that we were rehoming a dog that needed a home. And so that was the way that we had to do it. So we rehomed her from some people who took her on and just couldn't really cope with
Yeah,
her
they just had
because they'd had a new baby and stuff like that. So
and she's quite lively as well.
yeah, she's very lively.
So-
she loves to run.
Needs a lot,
She
quite a lot of
needs a lot
exercise.
of exercise, which is obviously what we do anyway. We go for long walks and stuff
Yeah.
with Digby. So she's just fitted in very
Oh, she's
well.
fitted in so well.
And Digby and Luna love each other. Oh, she's called Luna.
Yeah.
I don't
She wasn't originally called Luna, she was called Molly, but we changed it to Luna.
And Digby and Luna play a lot and love
Wrestle
each
and
other a
tussle
lot. And they didn't at
Yeah.
first, but they love each other lots now.
Digby still thinks he's the boss.
Yeah.
He likes to think
He
he's
likes
the
to
boss.
be the boss.
So other than getting a second dog, we haven't really done a great deal since November last year really, apart from going away just after Christmas. We were talking about going away, didn't really have any plans, but we basically went up north.
That was quite a big trip, actually.
Yeah, it was a 2-week road trip, and yeah, just kind of went all over the north of England, Lake District, North Pennines, Peak District.
And we
quite
just
good.
got Luna, so she was just like in her
Yeah.
element, running around all the different places.
Yeah.
But we were also just trying to get used to having a second dog. So I think it was fun, but also with both the dog, and it was really dirty because it's winter, obviously,
Yeah.
and so
That was quite hard.
that was quite. It wasn't. I don't want to say stressful, but it was just
It was
getting used to
Yeah,
adjusting.
so being in a van with limited space as it is and having to wash 2 dogs every time you go out for a walk was quite challenging, but we got through a lot of water.
And she is even though I said obviously that we didn't want to get a puppy, she's not a puppy, but she is still under 1. So, and that wasn't necessarily our intention. When we got her, she was about 9 months.
Actually, 7 months.
7 months, sorry. And so it wasn't our intention to get a dog that young, but she was just really perfect for us.
Yeah, just really fit in well, and Digby
so-
liked her.
Yeah, Digby when we went to go see her, Digby liked her, and that was the most important thing.
A little head.
And but she's still young, she's still under 1, so she's still behaving quite puppy-like. We're still quite worried, or not now, but we were at the time very worried about her peeing on the bed and things like that.
Yeah, which she didn't do.
No, but she has peed on the sofa.
Yeah. Yeah, she's getting better, but yeah. Yeah, so that happened anyway. 2-week trip just after Christmas. We're in North England. It was really good. I was going to make a video about it, but it rained pretty much every single day. I think it rained every day we were away. Not constantly,
Yeah.
but it rained every day. And it's quite difficult to film things in the rain because obviously camera gets wet and everything like that. And I don't know. I just
It was
kind
a
of
good trip, though.
decided not to film it, but it was good, yeah. Really enjoyed it.
And then when we're back, we've just been busy,
just living,
busy,
really.
working and
Yeah, just
looking after
working, looking
Joss
after
and-
Joss, walking dogs, just...
and Well, until now when we're away.
Yeah, so this is this the first trip we've been away? First time we've been away? Yeah, haven't even said where we are.
Because we went away at Christmas.
No, since then.
Oh, yeah.
First kind of trip of the year. I don't really know.
Well, I suppose we've been away in the van.
Yeah. Have we?
Just to, like, Essex.
Oh, yeah, okay.
but
not really like a trip.
No.
I'm trying to think what we've done this year. I can't even remember.
Well, anyway.
Yeah. I haven't even told you where we are. We're actually staying in my mum's caravan. She has a caravan down on the south coast near Hastings. And we've just come to basically just stay here for a couple of days, sort of 5-6 days. Just kind of get away, change the scenery. And yeah.
Have a break.
Have a little bit of a break. And we thought it'd be a good time to make this video.
So,
just kind of...
I suppose part of the reason why we decided to make these videos is because in that period of time when we haven't been filming, Dave has engaged in 2 media things. So the first one on the radio and then the second one on the BBC, which might be why some of you find the channel or find David's Instagram or
you've seen it, or
so
a lot of people have been asking me various questions about, well, primarily the house. Sometimes people ask me questions about the van. I had someone ask me a question the other day about where I bought something from the van, and I literally can't remember because it seems so long ago now. It's been just over a year since we finished the van, which seems crazy.
Yeah, but if it's something in particular, we could probably figure out.
Yeah, I know. I'll have to reply to that and figure it out. But we thought it'd be quite good to do kind of like a little podcast series rather than making vlogs, I guess, because we're still not really planning to go anywhere or do anything anytime soon. So we thought that maybe we could answer lots of commonly asked questions in kind of a bit of a podcast series. With this kind of setup, I guess. I don't know whether I'll take the audio and get it on Spotify or whatever. I don't even know how to do that. I have to look it up. But we thought that we would just put this on YouTube, and if it gets received quite well, then I'll kind of go from there, I suppose. But yeah, I think we'll cover various topics over the next few episodes.
Yeah.
Things about the house, things about the van, just kind of our lifestyle and
just answering some of your questions and like giving some insight into how things work and
like why we decided to do it.
Yeah,
I guess.
why we decided to do it,
like
challenges.
Maybe finances and I don't know, loads of different things. Lots of commonly asked questions.
FAQs.
Yeah. FAQs, that's right. In this first episode though, I thought that we would just kind of just introduce ourselves to anybody that is new to the channel, or a bit of a history of, I don't know, us being together, where we met, and I don't know.
So it's 10 years this year.
Yeah, 10 years we've been together.
Yeah.
In about October. But we did have a bit of history before that, I guess.
Yeah, so I met you when Joss was like 6 months old, so it's like 12 and a half years or something, because he's nearly 13.
I've known that you've existed for about 12 years. Prior to that, I wasn't even aware of your existence.
12 and a half, I suppose.
Yeah.
And that's my marker for remembering how long we've been together, is how old Joss is, because I don't really know we don't really have like an anniversary or anything.
No.
But I remember how old Joss is.
I think we officially came together in 2013.
Came together?
No, but like became like a thing.
What?
In like I don't know where. Like,
in when?
2013, I think it was.
Okay. Yes, so it's 2020.
Around about October.
Yeah.
I think we kind of decided to make it a thing. So that's where that started anyway. Other than that, I don't know, just some basic stuff.
I think it's quite interesting though, because obviously like in 10 years that's been quite a big journey. I think where we started is quite different to where we are now.
Oh, massively. Not just like, I don't know, everything really.
No, I know, and
where
I think
we were in our lives, our views on things, our values, our
Yeah, and I think the journey that we've gone on is quite interesting, that we've gone on it like together, because I feel like sometimes, well, I suppose there's 2 options, isn't it? You either go on the journey together and like find your way together, or you go your separate ways. I suppose that's how it always works.
Yeah.
Or sometimes people will be sort of trying to make 2 different ways of life work, and I think the best thing that we've done is probably just to really like communicate and talk about what we want to do in our lives, and then that's helped us to kind of keep on track together.
I don't know what would make someone compatible with someone else? I don't really know. I feel like
well, I'm just thinking
we've very
if
much
you
grown,
wanted to live in
haven't
if I wanted to live in a tiny house and you didn't, that would be a really big problem. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
Well, obviously, yeah.
So,
but that was quite a journey in itself.
yeah, that's what I'm
really.
saying. That's what I'm getting at. And that because when we first got together, because we've been friends at that point for a good couple of years, things moved reasonably well, and also because of Joss, things moved reasonably quickly, because if we were going to be together, then we were going to be together because Joss is involved, and you don't want to mess around Joss, obviously. So that meant our relationship was already quite serious quite quickly. Well, but for a couple of years it wasn't, and then when it was very serious, and so we moved in together probably only...
It was 2014.
So, like 9 months or something after we got together.
It was
Maybe
almost
a
a
bit
year.
longer?
I think it was September
A year.
2014 we first moved in together.
Okay.
And then, do we talk about that first place?
And that we
Oh my
lived in
goodness.
this really awful place. That wasn't awful, it was lovely, but it had a lot of damp and a lot of mould,
Yeah.
because it wasn't meant to be lived in. It was an old stables that had been converted. And I think we were really excited about it because it was just different.
It was
I don't
really
know.
nice.
Yeah, it was nice.
It was well.
It wasn't too expensive.
It was a converted stable, but I don't know what you've got in your head. But it was actually a really nice kind of small cottage. It had a conservatory
I don't know what you've got in your head.
on the side. Yeah, but if you say to someone it was a converted
It was like
stable,
a little cottage. We didn't want to live in just like initially.
Yeah.
This obviously changed, but we didn't want to live in just like a flat or something. I think we wanted to find something a bit different.
And we
so
found
maybe
it
we've
and-
always wanted to live in places that were slightly
Yeah,
different.
maybe.
I don't know.
But it was just like a really quaint cottage with a like quite small,
Yeah, it was very small.
with a conservatory and
But it was
yeah.
just like covered in mould.
yeah. So I think
just like an unbelievable amount of mould.
yeah. So I think that it had central heating, which was obviously good. But I think the actual structure of the house, it was kind of like just a single brick wall. And yeah, we just had ridiculous amounts of condensation
Mould.
and mould, and we
And
actually got quite ill, didn't we?
Yeah, I got ill, and I think that so Joss was at an age where he would get coughs a lot, but he wouldn't be able to kind of get rid of them. And actually, there was a story recently, and we don't have to put this in, but there was a story recently in the news of a boy who died from being in a house that was mouldy, and that made me think about, I'm really glad that we left that place because it was really bad.
No, it was bad. I remember feeling just ill, quite a lot.
And then after that, we found a really, really nice flat.
Oh, that was so
in
nice.
Reigate.
Love that
Oh,
place.
I don't know why I'm saying where it was, but it
I
was,
don't think it matters.
okay,
but-
so we went, and that was really fun because, so where we were living before was like really in the middle of nowhere, and then we sort of moved into a more towny place. We were right near the train station, right near Reigate town, right near the kind of
like two massive
Yeah.
parks, like it was
a
really
gym
good,
and a supermarket and all of that kind of stuff, which was quite fun for us, I think, for a little bit of time, especially at the age that Joss was at.
and the flat was really nice as well.
Yeah.
It was like a top floor, it's like penthouse, isn't it?
Yeah.
Top floor flat. So,
So it was
the whole
slightly
thing
bigger
was,
than the other flats in the block.
yeah, because it kind of covered the whole top, and everything was open plan apart from the bathroom and the bedroom. But the kitchen, the living room, it was really big as well. It was all open plan.
Yeah.
And it was a really nice flat. The bedroom was massive.
I loved
as well.
that flat, and it was really well priced. It wasn't like too expensive, and as I said, it was right near Reigate Town, and there was obviously there's a big park there, and Joss was at an age where we were going to the park a lot, and it was really fun to go take him there, and we were always out doing things, going to farms or wherever we were going,
Yeah.
because when kids are how old he was, I don't know how old he would have been then, like
I think it was about 7.
5, 6, 7.
No,
8?
I think he was 6.
6.
I can't remember.
Whatever it was, we was at an age where he wanted to go out. We were busy on the weekends, and
Oh,
like,
every
we were already doing
weekend we
stuff.
always do something.
And that's when you started doing weekends with Joss.
Yeah,
because
so
we
that's
were
when the channel
having-
started.
We were having him. He was with us every weekend,
Mm.
and so we were going out and doing stuff, and it was really fun to kind of film what we were doing, and we would go swimming, or we would go to the park.
Yeah, it
or
was
we
really
would,
good,
like,
wasn't
do
it? Lots
fun
of happy
things.
memories.
And that flat was so. I loved that flat. It was so
really
nice.
good.
The layout of it was really nice. I had a little alcove, which was like my office, and that was when I was doing my PhD, so it was really nice because I had my own little separate bit that looked out onto the thing. There was just obviously this one thing that ruined it.
Yeah, I mean, we don't want to go into that too much, do we? But basically there was a woman who lived in the block of flats who had quite serious mental health issues, would get quite intoxicated and just cry and scream, and in her back garden. So she was on the ground floor, so she had a back garden, and she was just really, really distressed, and it was really, really sad. And I think, tried to call ambulances, and other people in the block of flats were trying to help her as well, but she was quite abusive.
Yeah,
I think is the way to put it. I think you're downplaying it a bit. Like
I want to downplay it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to downplay it.
Yeah, okay. She did have like some mental health problems, which we were aware of.
I was downplaying it. I wasn't going to say what she did.
Okay, but she was quite abusive towards you.
Yeah.
And she used to drink a lot, and
it was a weird thing because it was like such a lovely flat, and we loved living there. But it was also potentially, I don't think he would remember it, but it was also had the potential to be distressing for Joss.
Yeah.
And so we were kind of worried about that, because sometimes on the weekends when he was with us, she would scream, and we were worried that it was going to wake him up, and that's obviously really scary for him. So we decided that we had to leave. Yeah. We lived there for quite a while though.
Well, we only had the one bedroom as well.
Yeah.
So Joss was getting older, and we thought it'd be good for him to have his own room anyway. So we kind of put two and two together, and we thought that it was probably best that we moved somewhere else, which we did. So we stayed there for,
I don't remember how long.
About 2 years, I think.
Okay.
Ish. I can't remember. I know we moved to the next house in December 2016.
Okay.
So I think we were there for maybe 2.5 years, I guess. No.
A year and a half.
A year and a half.
A year and a half.
Because we left the first house after about 5 months, didn't we?
And we would have stayed there a lot longer, because as I said, not a lot longer, because
we could have
needed a
stayed
second
there.
room, but we could have stayed there a lot longer.
But,
and then we moved into a huge house.
Yeah. So at the time, that was, I mean, living in that house was a great life experience, really, I think. But I remember going to see it and getting really excited about it, because I was like, oh, this has got everything that we need.
So we decided in our heads at that stage that we needed at least 2 bedrooms, so one for Joss and one for us, obviously. And then we'd got in our head that I also needed an office, and we were convinced that so then we needed 3 bedrooms, and then we wanted a garden, we wanted to grow things, which is all fine. Like we were just, that was what we were into at the time, and we were thinking we needed a bigger house, basically, or a big house. To us, is a very big house.
Yeah.
And
yeah, so we had a budget in mind, and we went to go and view a few houses, didn't we? I actually think I made a couple of vlogs of us going and looking at a couple of different houses somewhere. I can't, like 2016 vlog somewhere. There's some of that.
Yeah.
But they're all quite tatty for what they're asking for. And then I went to go and see the house that we actually went to, and it was 50 quid more a month than our budget was, and it was just really nice. Had everything we wanted.
Yeah, it was really nice.
Newly decorated. So yeah, we just kind of went there really. We had a front and back garden. We had a garage, which we didn't really use. I guess we had the bikes in there, but that was kind of a bonus. We had a bathroom downstairs and upstairs, 3 bedrooms, dining room, kitchen, living room. It was massive, wasn't it?
It was really big.
And
while we were living there, I was commuting quite far, and we also got massively into van life videos, right? I suppose van life.
That was
the
a bit
first
later
thing.
on, wasn't it? So we didn't get the van till 2019. So I think it was 2018 we kind of got into the van thing.
Yeah. But we were watching them for a long time before we bought the van.
Yeah, okay, yeah. But we didn't really kind of decide to get the van until a bit later, did we?
No, so I was going a lot to work on really far, going to work on the train, and that was really tiring and expensive. And we got quite into van life videos, which I suppose we started to make us think more about.
I think we're feeling a bit inspired, weren't we?
About van life and stuff. And then also you got into the Minimalists podcast.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I'll go into a bit more detail about that in another video. But I started.
I think it's quite an
listening
important
to,
part of the timeline, though.
Yeah, it is. So basically, we lived in the house. We moved in 2016 December.
Yeah.
2017.
Yeah.
I remember that was really good fun. We grew loads of vegetables for the first time, and everything was new. We had a big house.
Yeah.
Did the gardening, had barbecues, and all that stuff. That was great. Could hang the washing up outside for the first time.
Yeah.
And that was really good. And then the following year, we kind of did everything again, didn't we? And I think at the end of 2018, the summer, I was just kind of like, oh, we've done the same thing 2 years in a row now. Like, are we just going to do this again next year? Like, what are we going to do?
And when you have a house that big, or your bills are quite high, so you're just working.
Yeah. So you were working full time. I was working full time.
Yeah.
We did all the housework on the weekends. Had Joss on the weekends. Did all the gardening on the weekend.
Yeah. But then you just
busy.
shattered on the weekend.
Yeah.
And stuff.
So then I started listening to a podcast at work called the Minimalists Podcast, and I'd recommend anybody listening to it. It was really good. I listened to so many of their podcasts, like 200 of them.
I think going back in time with their podcast as well is really good, because I think I really like some of their kind of older ones.
Yeah,
and,
it really kind of changed the way I see everything, and I think that really had a big contribution as to how we ended up where we are now, really.
And I think the thing that's interesting about it as well is that, so we've got this big house. You'd gone to see the house and gone like, yeah, this is the house we definitely want. I hadn't even really seen it, I don't think. And then we went for it, and then all of a sudden, only like a year and a half later, bearing in mind at this point we'd already moved. Well, moved in together, moved again. I was like, I don't want to move again, because moving's really stressful, obviously. Yeah. And but then you got into this thing, and I'm like, what are you talking about? What's the Minimalist Podcast? What are you like? What is this thing? And you're really into it. I think you first were really into the van life videos as well before I was.
Yeah, so I'd worked with people before that were into like van conversions, and they were kind of building their own vans, and they used to come to work in their vans, and on their lunch break they would, I don't know, make a little cupboard door or something, and I thought that was really cool. And then so I started listening to the Minimalist Podcast, and then I suppose that's when we started to get rid of our stuff. Just kind of minimising, really. So the Minimalist Podcast is all about how to, like, you kind of declutter your life. Yeah, decluttering your life. Declutter your mind at the same time.
But also reducing your expenses, reducing your costs, like reducing things down so that you can pay off debt or whatever it is that you need to do. Yeah. So yeah, we can talk about that in another podcast. But the whole point, the whole premise is obviously that you are minimising your stuff, and so then you. I can't remember what it was, though, that made us think we needed a smaller place.
I think it just got to a point where I think doing the gardening for 2 summers in a row, I was kind of getting a bit fed up.
But were we thinking it was too much money as well?
Yes, the money was quite a lot as well. So at the time, we were paying £1,250 a month. To stay there, rent, and then bills, council tax, everything on top. Yeah. It was quite expensive.
So we were just thinking this is just too much.
Yeah.
Is that what
you
were thinking?
You had your office, but you never used it.
Yeah, no, never.
You used to work on the sofa downstairs,
or at work,
or go to work, and then we had a dining room that we never really used. I think we used to use it just because, but we didn't need it.
And then we got the van. The van made us think. We then would stay the VW van, the old van. So some of you may not even realise that we had that van. So David's converted a van now, but before that van we had a VW. And I was commuting to work, and it was absolutely destroying me because it was like a 4-hour, 3.5 hour, 4-hour commute.
Yeah, through central London.
And also out into the sticks. So there would be cancelled buses. I would miss my train. It was so expensive.
And then you had to stay in an Airbnb or.
And then I tried staying in hotels and B&Bs, and they were all really expensive. And I couldn't really find anything that would suit me because I have a gluten intolerance, so there's only like certain things I can eat, and so that used to really stress me out. Like the whole thing used to just be really stressful for me. And so then we were coming up to Christmas, and so my work is sort of in terms, and I'd just done the autumn term and was like, I don't know if I can keep doing this. I don't know if I can keep... I really want to stay at the place that I'm at, the work that I'm at, but like I can't just keep travelling all the time, and we can't move there because we need to be close to Joss.
Yes, that's the other thing as well.
And so you said... I think I said... One of us said... No, I said to you... I remember... Do you think we could get a van and I could sleep in the van at work?
I remember wanting to have a van for ages.
Okay.
But at the time...
And he's going on at me like, I want a van. I was
looking at so many vans.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I was just like, oh, I'll see if I can get a van for like £3,000 or something.
It's so weird
I just want to get any van.
Yeah.
And then I think when we came to the realisation that you could potentially...
I remember saying to you as a joke...
Yeah.
We could get a van and I could like drive to work and then sleep on a campsite in the van.
And then you can do the drive, which is much quicker than the train.
And then I was like, wait, is that a joke? Or is that something that we could actually do?
Yeah.
Right?
And then from a financial standpoint as well, driving in the van. I mean, if you just forget the cost of the van for a second, driving there in a vehicle and sleeping on a campsite is vastly cheaper
than the train. I wish it wasn't. I wish that getting the train and getting the bus was cheaper than it is, because obviously it's better for the environment. But the fact of the matter is that it's not. If the train is especially going through central London and back out again,
and
the train is very, very expensive.
As well.
Yeah, B&Bs are really expensive.
So the campsite I think was £25 a night.
At the time I think it was 22.
And then how much was a B&B?
And the great thing about it, the weirdest thing about it, and this continues being weird up till now when we camp off-grid, there are loads of places near my work to camp. Yeah. It's like the weirdest thing. There are like 3 campsites nearby, and then there are also loads of off-grid camping. But so at the time, when we had the VW, I was staying on campsites.
Yeah, well, we had to, because we had no toilet or anything.
Yeah, but even so, like even if we'd have got a little toilet that went pushed under the bed or something, we weren't there yet, I don't think, in the journey. So I was staying on campsite. I wouldn't have, at the time, stuttering, at the time I wouldn't have felt safe, is I think what I mean as well. I was comfortable staying on a campsite. Yeah,
so that was the kind of realisation that this is a good thing to do. Like this van could potentially...
It helped so much. I can't stress enough how much it changed my life. Because I was getting ill, I was getting ear infections, I was feeling really ill all the time, getting the train, it was just so stressful. All I would think about was, when's the next bus coming? Do I need to go get the bus? I'm like trying to wrap up everything that I'm doing at work as quick as I can to try to go get that bus, because if that bus doesn't come, I'll miss my train and then I'll miss the connection, because there's like 4 connections and everything was so stressful. I missed dinner all the time.
Yeah, I remember you texted me saying, "Oh, I've just got to the bus stop. Be home in like 3.5 hours."
I know, it was so but so the van, having the van really changed things. It really helped me to feel very safe. It helped me to feel like I could cook what I needed to cook according to my dietary requirements, well. And it just helped me in so many ways. It helped me. I can talk more about van life in another video and how much it's helped me, but it has. And so and obviously at that time it was just the VW. So then when we stayed in the van multiple times on holidays and stuff, I think we were like, oh, we don't really need as much space as we have.
Yeah, so we went away in the van.
Oh, and we wanted to live somewhere where we could have a dog.
Yes, that was another thing. Yeah, I forgot about that. But we went away on the trip in the van for 2 weeks, I think, in 2019.
Yeah.
And I think that really kind of cemented it, really. We were just like, oh, if we can survive in a van for 2 weeks...
We need a smaller place. And we had then if you think about it, we then had all the costs of living in that big house and the costs of the van, because we didn't have enough cash to buy the van outright. So we had a loan on the van, we had the house, we had the bills. The bills are going up, obviously. They've gone up even more at this stage.
Oh, it's mad.
But it was just a bit mad. So we were like, okay, we need to find somewhere smaller. And then we found like the best place we've ever lived for 100, well, apart from the tiny house, the best place we've ever rented.
Without question.
Like without a doubt, we absolutely loved living where we lived just before the tiny house.
Yeah. So we basically moved from the big house.
Yeah.
We found
Sorry to interrupt you, but we downsized massively our stuff before we could move into a smaller place. That was a big thing.
Yeah. So we'd accumulated a lot of things in about 5 years, something like that, 4 or 5 years. We've accumulated a lot of things before we
Rubbish.
sort of just junk really, just boxes
Just
of stuff. Had like a whole box full of just like aftershaves and.
Well, and Joss's room is just like full of toys and
toys
that he doesn't even play with anymore, and like just loads of boxes. I like loads of boxes of paperwork that I didn't need. Like it's just loads of stuff.
Just stuff really, yeah.
And then so because of the minimalist podcast, we're downsizing. They have a technique where you do a month of getting rid of stuff. On the first day you do one thing, on the second day you do 2 things, and so on and so forth. We're doing that kind of over and over again, just get downsizing, and then we were able to move into a smaller place. And the reason why I say that is because you couldn't do that move with all the stuff that we originally have.
Yeah. So the move itself, there was actually 2 kind of bungalows, like semi-detached bungalows, on a farm.
On a farm, yeah.
And we actually went to go and view the other one that we ended up moving in. No, the other one that we didn't move into. But then there were 2 guys that went to view it like literally before us, and they wanted it as well.
So the cost was a big factor because it was like £1,200 all in rent and bills, and so I think that made it very attractive to lots of people. Right? So like as soon as it went on live, and it was a different thing. It was like a bungalow, as Dave said, like a bungalow on a farm. So it's like it's not a flat, it's not a house, it's like a different thing. So I think it was quite attractive to people.
Yeah, so they pipped us to the post, and then the landlady said that just based on the fact that they viewed it before us, that they could have it instead of us, because she didn't really care. And she was just like, oh well, they saw it first, so they can have it. And we were a bit gutted, really.
And we were really gutted.
Yeah, because we really liked it. But then, I can't remember how long it was after that, maybe.
Oh, and because we could have dog.
Yeah.
That's what we were so gutted. And then they called.
Basically saying that the people in the other one...
Not long after, like a couple of days. The people in the other one are going to move out.
Like, because we wanted to rent that other one, do we want to rent this one?
Yeah.
And we didn't even view it. And we were just like, yes, we'll take it. And then that was that. I don't think we saw it until the day we moved in.
Yeah, we didn't.
But we knew roughly what it was going to be like, because it was just going to be the reverse of the one we saw.
Yeah. It was
great.
Yeah,
that was that. And I remember the day we moved in, when I first went in there, I was just like, oh my god, this is so small.
Yeah.
Compared to the house. Like, that transition for me was much more drastic than the transition from there into the tiny house.
Yeah, I agree. But also it didn't take long to adjust.
Oh no, not at all. It felt quite big when we left.
And and one of the greatest things about living there, well, there are multiple great things, but one of the best things about living there was that the woman who lived there, the woman who owned the farm, bred miniature Dachshunds and would let people have dogs in the bungalows.
It was dog friendly.
Yeah.
She was a breeder, which is where we got Digby from. She had about 20 of him, all relatives, living in her farmhouse. And she was lovely as well. She was really nice. And we were just surrounded by fields. We were on the farm, and it was like an equestrian kind of. It's not an equestrian farm, is it? They had like racehorses there, and we'd look after those.
It's called something else. I can't think what it's called.
Yeah, like a stud farm or something.
Yeah, stud farm. Yeah.
But they looked after racehorses, but there was just fields everywhere.
Yeah.
And it was amazing, wasn't it? So many walks and.
Yeah, and then we were so grateful to be there because then we were there in lockdown.
Yeah.
And we had so many places to walk, and we had Digby by then, and because we got Digby like a year before lockdown.
Summer 2019.
Yeah, so
6 months before lockdown. Yeah.
Maybe a bit longer, 9 months.
So then we were locked down, but we were surrounded by fields, and it was great. So we could go out for walks, and it was just brilliant. Love that place.
It was so good, and it was really sunny. If anyone can remember the first lockdown in England.
Yeah, the very first lockdown, the spring was gorgeous.
Yeah, and it was so sunny, and Josh stayed with us for a while, because we were obviously isolating. Everyone was like in their bubbles, and
no, it was really good. Nothing but good memories there.
Yeah, it was so good, and we
doing Joe Wicks in the field.
Yeah, pee with Joe.
Pee with Joe.
And then we yeah, I don't know. And Digby just loved it. He could just run and run.
It was
and
just
run.
great, wasn't it? There was a lot of spiders. I remember there were lots of spiders
Yeah.
because we were on the farm.
Yeah.
And loads of cats as well. There was
Loads of cats.
Loads of farm cats.
And so Digby one day got
God,
fleas because he got obviously would go in the same like long grass as the cats would go in.
I remember
so
you
got
had
fleas.
this flea on your hand.
Oh my god!
And you were just like, "Is that a flea?" And then it just went like, "Pong!"
I was like, "Is that a flea?"
Yeah, so Digby had fleas.
Yeah.
And then he ripped up the floor. There was like a lino floor. That had a few
Yeah, because he was a puppy.
few cracks in it, and he just ripped it up. So we had to pay to get that replaced.
Yeah. Anyway.
But yeah, that was really nice. Loved it there. Quite sad to leave, really, but
Yeah. So when we were in lockdown, we're not in the first in the second lockdown. We were more and more looking at through this whole thing. We've been watching a lot of van life videos, a lot of YouTube videos, a lot of people living alternative lifestyles, living on boats, long boats.
yeah, narrowboats.
Narrowboats. I was like, long. It's not long boats.
Yeah, it's not the Vikings. Yeah, so narrowboats,
Living on narrowboats.
tiny houses,
And
just kind of stuff like that.
and
Really.
being really worried as well, or not worried, but being really like, is this even something that people do in England and the UK? A lot of these people are from America, not the narrowboats, but
So I think we were just thinking along the lines of the direction we wanted to go, and I think we realised that we kind of like something had to give because rent was quite expensive anyway. We didn't want to buy a house mainly because they're just too expensive and.
Yeah, we don't want to have a mortgage.
Yeah,
we don't want to buy a house. We don't want to live that lifestyle necessarily where you're just working to pay your mortgage and that's your whole life.
Yeah.
We want to be able to travel. We want to be able to like spend lots of time in the van.
Yeah, we basically wanted more freedom.
Yeah.
I suppose you could say.
Yeah.
And the only way to do that was to basically try and get our costs down.
Yeah.
Lower. Because it's a lot easier to lower your costs than earn more money.
Yeah.
I guess, without having to make big sacrifices. Like no one wants to work. Like, or maybe some people do, but most people don't want to work more hours. They want to work less, don't they? So it's quite obvious, really, that the thing that had to change was where we were living. And I think originally we looked at canal boats because I think it's quite well known that canal boats.
Yeah.
People live on those, don't they? And
can you remember what happened when we found the tiny house? I remember that we were laying in bed and we'd been like watching something on YouTube or something about tiny houses, and then you were looking up tiny houses in the UK, and you found the guy that we bought, the website of the guy that we bought the house from eventually.
I don't even remember.
And you said to me, "Oh my god, Becky, look, there's this like tiny house. It's called Tiny House UK, right?
Tiny Eco Homes.
Tiny Eco Homes UK.
Yeah, Tiny Eco Homes UK.
Because everything we would ever find would be US."
Yeah, it was all American. Or there was a
so
company just down the road from us, like 10 minutes up the road, who made tiny houses. They're just basically like sheds.
So,
like shepherd's huts, basically.
But anyway, you found this Tiny Eco Homes UK, and it was up north. And I remember you saying to me, "Look at this." Okay, so also there's more to it than that, because we'd also thought about mobile homes. We'd also thought about just a caravan. But the problem was that we felt strongly that we had to have a second bedroom. Actually, we don't need to get into this now, but I would rethink that now. But we felt strongly that we needed to have a second bedroom, or at least try to have some kind of 2 separate bedrooms. And so caravans just wouldn't work. To be fair, a mobile home would work, but mobile homes are they're not made to last. They're made basically made out of plastic. They're not very robust. They're not, I don't know.
It just didn't really work, did it? I think
we just didn't want to.
I think at the time we just needed 2 bedrooms and
also mobile homes are really expensive.
Yeah, it just didn't really
for
work.
what they are. And so when we found this Tiny Eco Homes reasonably well priced, and you're like, "Look at this," and I was like, "We're going to buy one of those."
No.
I just know we're going to buy one of those. I was like, "That's what we need. That's exactly what we need." That everything on the website was just exactly what we wanted. There was stuff, he had like particular layouts, but there was also stuff that you could have your own personal spec on, and then we were just so excited. And
Yeah.
I remember being like,
And we spoke.
we have to buy that.
Yeah, we
have
spoke to
get
Chris
that.
on the phone, didn't we? We had a.
Yeah.
Or was it Skype?
It was like a phone.
Like a video call.
You pay for like a consultation with him, and he
We
just
spoke to
wants
him
to
for a
know
while.
that you're kind of serious. I think because he gets a hell of a lot of inquiries for whatever reason, like people buying them to rent them out, or people buying them as holiday homes, whatever it is. He gets a lot of inquiries, and so he wants to know that you're.
Well, he doesn't
Serious.
want to. He doesn't want to spend an hour talking to somebody.
Yeah, and it's just him. Like, he has
basic.
people that work for him, obviously, that do. He pays someone to do the electrics, or he pays a labourer or whatever. But it's like him running, just him running his company. So he doesn't have a lot of time. So
So we had a chat with him.
had
on
a
that,
chat with
didn't we?
him then, and we're in lockdown, and we're thinking like, can we go up north?
Yeah. So the company is in Northumberland, which is pretty much on the Scottish border.
Yeah.
So from where we were, it was about
Yeah.
330 miles away.
Yeah.
So we couldn't just like pop in and say hello and have
No.
a look around. We really had to.
But then we
Kind
did.
of- We basically did that, but we just drove 6 hours there, 6 hours back. That
Because
was
we were so
oh,
excited.
Yeah, we were so excited.
We were just so excited.
And it didn't
so
disappoint
it was
either.
in a point of lockdown where you could go places, but you couldn't stay overnight.
Yes, we thought about going there and sleeping in the van, didn't we?
But you couldn't stay in like an Airbnb, and we were worried that if we stayed in the van, again, this is the time when we still had the old van, we didn't have a toilet, and like, I think we were just worried about it. The rules at that time, if anyone can remember, I'm sure you all can remember, were very weird.
Yeah.
They were confusing. It was like, what can we do and what can't we do? So we were like,
Yeah, I think once
just
we were
drive.
there, we were like, we just go and figure it out. And then once we were there, we were just like, let's just go home.
yeah,
And that was a really hard drive home.
yeah, we shouldn't have done that, but we did, and it was really exciting.
Oh, it was amazing.
And
Just
in that
seeing the
moment-
warehouse, all the houses in it, and then seeing some of the show houses, it was great, wasn't it?
And we were just like, yeah, we want to move forward. We want to get booked onto the, what's it
I
called?
don't know. I can't remember. Well, we needed to find somewhere to keep the house first.
No, but what's it called when he has a
Production line.
Production line.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We want to get put on the production line,
Yeah.
but we need to find somewhere to put it. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and then we basically, well, where did you keep a tiny house? This is a whole other topic as well. But we essentially emailed all of the campsites that were near us, explained
And called them.
just explained what we wanted to do and whether or not they could accommodate us being there.
Hmm.
And I think, knowing what I know now, we were incredibly lucky. And like the campsite we went to,
So weird.
It
We
was
literally
just-
found something 5 minutes down the road.
yeah,
from
it was
where we were
5 minutes
living.
around down the road from where we were.
Yeah, it was really weird.
And it was our number one campsite, really.
Yeah.
And they're the only ones that said yes.
It was really weird.
And they said we could stay there
Indefinitely.
for as long as we wanted. No, I don't know, 8 months a year you got to leave
Yeah.
or anything.
And at the time, the rent was very low. Like, and we can maybe talk in another video about how that changed. But
It was basically
at the
half
time,
of what we were paying.
At the time, the rent was very low. The electricity costs were very low.
Yeah, which are like
At the
3 times more
time.
now. Yeah, crazy.
But it was on a commercial rate of electricity, so that changed a lot over time. But at the time, it was all really well priced. I suppose because it was lockdown as well, so they weren't having many campers, so they couldn't have campers, right? At certain points, so they were just trying to get as much business as they could. And we and again, like, loved.
That was
living
great,
there.
yeah. But they basically gave us a yes.
Yeah.
And then we called up Chris, didn't
Yeah.
we? Or emailed him or something.
Yeah,
just
and we were like,
right,
we found a place,
we were like,
let's
let's
go
go.
for it.
Yeah, let's pay the deposit and let's go. This is what
Yeah.
we want. Gave him a kind of... We took the kind of idea of one of his houses
Yeah.
he had and kind of tweaked it a bit.
Yeah, so we had particular layouts, and we just
Just kind
made a
of...
couple of edits.
Yeah, a couple of edits. And that was that. 3 months later, I think it was November
times.
29th, 2020. Chris turned up with a house, didn't he? At the campsite. And then that was that. And a lot of people say... What's the transition like moving into the house? Like, was it hard? And
Yeah.
I think initially it kind of, because we were on a campsite as well, it almost felt like a holiday.
Well, and I think
And then-
the reason, well, and because it was lockdown as well, like in and out of lockdown, so it was kind of.
I found it really
yeah, it
fun
was
and
really fun.
exciting, and
It was really fun.
it felt like a holiday, and then it just kind of,
Yeah.
I don't know, just kind of like transitioned from there. And,
Yeah, and I think kind of one of the reasons why we wanted to make this video, which goes into the background, is because that is the journey that led us to the tiny house. And I think it's quite some of those transitions are quite important. The experience of living in a very big house, I think, is what triggered us to kind of make those other changes and other decisions. If we maybe hadn't have lived in such a big house, I don't know if we would have gone on the same journey. But there are these steps along the way that are quite influential. And I think it's really interesting that obviously we moved into the place on the farm, and then the place that we can have the tiny house was just down the road.
Literally down the road.
There's really weird coincidences. And the weirdest one is that where we live now, it was then like 2 minutes down the road from where we lived before.
Yeah, so we've moved a few times from the campsite. We lived in Becky's parents' garden while we built the van. Then we moved back to the campsite again.
Yeah.
And then we got an email last year saying the campsite's shutting down because they're redeveloping it.
Yeah.
So everyone has to basically leave within the next sort of 12 to 18 months.
Yeah. And so we're panicking.
Yeah, like where we're going to go next. Like we had a couple of kind of backups that could potentially
I don't know though, we
didn't know for sure.
It is scary though, I will say that. Like, about living in a tiny house, like until we own our own land, if and when we own our own land, it is scary. Because, not scary. It's scary, but it's like worrying.
Yeah.
You're a bit
like, am I going to be stuck with nowhere to go? But anyway, we found this private piece of land on Gumtree of these people.
Again, on a kind of farm that had just been converted.
And the advert was for basically people who want to live in a caravan or a mobile home or something. Like we have this piece of land with planning permission, residential, £120 a week it was.
Yeah. It is.
And we went to go and have a look at it, literally 2 minutes down the road from the campsite, which was crazy.
And we found it on the day that they sent us the email.
Yeah.
And we're saying, when they sent us the email, they said you have 18 months before the redevelopment will start. So we had ages, but we found it on the day that we got the email. It was really, really weird.
So we were like, we could stay here for the next year and kind of go from there. But I think we're just casually having a look just to get some ideas. And then found that.
I think a little bit panicked.
Yeah. But then we found that and went to have a look at it, and we were just like, wow, this is it.
Yeah. And it's a lot cheaper, which we can talk about in another
that's
video.
where we are now.
Yeah.
So been there for about 6 months now, I think. And everything's great. Really good. And yeah, that's kind of where we are now.
How do we sign off?
I don't really know. I'm kind of new to this whole thing.
So what will we talk about in the next one?
So the next one, I made a kind of short list on my phone. I think I wanted to talk a bit about the YouTube channel.
Okay.
In the next one. A bit of the history of it, why we started the channel.
Yeah.
Because you used to watch a lot of vlogs, didn't you?
Yeah, a lot of vlogs. I still do.
And then that kind of came about.
We've watched a lot of YouTube.
Yeah, and just the process of this channel. I mean, nearly 7 years. I just made vlogs pretty much every single week for.
Yeah. And then when following that, we'll talk more about.
Yeah, and then we'll get into kind of like
tiny house.
Getting the tiny house and a bit more about that, and then maybe the van, some travelling we've done.
Yeah.
Just our lifestyle. Just kind of just general things like that, really.
I think if you have any topics that you want us to cover...
Yeah, any questions, anything.
Questions, topics, leave them in the comments. If there's something that you really want us to cover. I know, I'm pretty sure that like finances is going to be quite a big one. I'm pretty sure that people are going to want us to talk about the tiny house more and stuff. But just if there's anything specific, we're really happy to
or anything you
talk
want to
about
know,
those
or
things.
anything really. Yeah.
And we'll get into them in the next podcasts.
Yeah.
How long have we been talking for?
We've been talking almost an hour. My goodness.
Almost an hour. Been rambling.
But that's going to do it for this one anyway. I think we've covered pretty much the last 10 years of our life. If you want to go beyond that to when we were younger, which probably won't be that interesting, but what we used to get up to in our teenage years.
Should we talk about, what should we call the podcast? The ramblings of Tiny House Ramblers.
Look at Luna. Yes.
She loves a blanket.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see.
We'll talk about the dogs maybe.
We'll talk about
later
the
on,
doggos.
and then we can have them special star guest. But that's going to do it for this episode anyway. I really hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you in the next one.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was fun, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's quite a good little setup.
Yeah.
Casual chat, and it was good. Hope you enjoyed it as well. All right. See you next time.